Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, everybody. It's time for Cub Chat Live. Audrey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Aaron. It's a good day. It's a
It is
good
a
day to
good
have a good
day.
day. I heard that
Always good to see you. Always good to have you on here. Today, we're talking about a very important topic, a very interesting topic, and I think very relevant topic for this time of the year. That's the great thing about Cub Chat Live, Audrey, is we can hit topics timely and relevantly, right?
That's what we
Fall
try.
is
We try
here.
very hard to do that.
Exactly. Fall is here. School is starting. Everybody is having their recruiting nights. I actually got a little scoop that Cub Scout recruiting is going well so far. So we're very excited about that. And we're going to talk today about an important topic. Along with new Cub Scouts, we have new leaders. And there are ways that we can welcome, aka onboard. Audrey calls it onboarding new leaders. Onboarding, welcome, whatever you want to call it. Audrey, just kind of give us an idea of that topic and why it's important, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I probably should have said welcome.
Onboarding is
Take
great.
that
We
to
love it.
business
Whatever.
term. Sorry about that. Today we're going to be talking about new leaders, and you may actually, if you follow some of my tips, it might actually be like a month from now or something. But there are some things for existing leaders. Just want to make you aware of existing leaders. If you're looking for advanced training, there's a very special one up at the summit in West Virginia, our high adventure base, and they have a linked troop, so it's a different model where it's the troops together, and Cub Scout leaders are invited to that, and it is advanced training, and can take you to the next level. I've done it in my council, but this one's really special because it's there, and you get to take advantage of all the things to do up at the summit, which I've gone to as when I worked with venturing. So and World Jamborees and whatnot. But it's super fun. So check that out. Do a search on that. I don't have a direct link, but just want to know there's still things for those leaders that are existing. But today we're going to talk about if you're an existing leader and mostly the PAC committees, how do you find those, or how do you bring on your new leaders?
Awesome. Yes. And we did a video on that linked troop merit badge class, wood badge course just a couple of days ago, Audrey. So folks watching, if you're interested in learning more on that, you can go back and watch that.
That's right. The Troop Talk had it.
Yes, exactly.
We're going to be specifically talking about, Scouts BSA leaders, but Cub Scouts are invited as well to do this, as well as the older youth programs. So everybody's invited.
Exactly right. But like you said, today we're talking about onboarding new Cub Scout leaders. Shout out real quick to Wendy, who's watching from Elgin, Illinois, PAC 38 and Troop 38. It looks like Wendy has also done something very, very important, Audrey. She has tagged a friend.
Oh, excellent.
Great idea. Love that. If you know of anybody who might be interested in this. What's up, Brian from PAC 122 in Illinois? Rob says we need Cub Master Aaron to come back. I know my kids are too old. What do you want me to do? I'm sorry, Rob. Rich says hello, everybody from Edwardsville, Illinois. We got John watching. Patricia's watching from the Longhouse Council. Brandon, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate that. Okay, onboarding new leaders. With new Cub Scouts come new DENs, right? And we need new leaders, whether it's a new den or a current den that's expanding and growing, maybe right? And heck, the more leaders, the better. Why is onboarding new leaders important? Well, I think some people maybe don't even, not necessarily something you think about, right? Why is this
right? And that's unfortunate. That's what we're hoping to correct, is that this is intentional. And you think about it, because it's kind of like the analogy of, getting a car, right? And say you get a brand new car, and then you're just start to drive it without any training or any guidance, and you're a brand new driver without any education. What happens? Well, likely you're going to crash. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to give you some steps ahead once you get that new car, that then you can have smooth sailing instead of crashing. Because we found out that the number one reason, as some of the research that's been done through Voice of the Scout, one of the number one reasons families leave PACs is because of poor leadership. And whether that's through poor communication, poor training, or poor planning, or all of the above. And that is not what we want. You've done all this work in your joining nights and your school nights, and all of a sudden you've got these new folks. And if you don't have a high quality leadership in place, then it's going to crash, right? Your car's going to crash because you haven't set up that ability to keep it going forward in a safe and desirable manner. So Really critical, very, very critical. But today, I am going to focus on mentoring and coaching those new leaders. So we've done some Cub chats, and I'm going to highlight them a little bit later, but we've done some Cub chats on like some of the nitty gritties of how to select a leader and those things. And we have resources on our website, scouting.org, Cub Scouts, and then leader tools. And then it'll be down there, how to select a new leader and that whole process. But I'm going to talk about how do you mentor and coach leaders, or coach them and mentor them as you're finding them. So
yeah, and that's important because, we've got a pretty significant group of parents out there who are eager to help, but don't know how. They didn't grow up in Scouts necessarily, right? More parents now were not Scouts as kids than ever before. So they don't know the difference. We've talked about this before, Audrey, the difference between a pack and a den, right? There are things, what's an Eagle Scout? These are things they don't know. So
absolutely. And so a den is a small group of Scouts, and the pack is the multiple groups of those small groups getting together. So yes, when you start out, it's better to use, I call them real people terms, but just explain it in simple language and not use all the acronyms right off the bat. So good reminder.
The acronyms will come later when they fall in love with the program, like they all do. But mentoring is an interesting idea, Audrey. That's a great idea. Not necessarily throwing them into the fire without any support, right?
Absolutely. Mentoring is not the ideal.
Coaching, exactly. So tell me about, your idea for who a mentor could be and what would they do?
I mean, I personally had that happen to me, so I'm trying to help you.
It happens. Unfortunately, it's happened to a lot of people. It's probably happened to a lot of people watching, for sure.
So a mentor could be multiple things. It could be a former den leader, somebody who's their kids have gotten older and they used to be a den leader, so they have some of those skills. A member of the Key 3. I know when I was committee chair and we had a small pack, I went and mentored. The Cub Master would mentor others, and we kind of split the duty. Other pack volunteers, just a really experienced parent who is okay with just a small amount of time to do this, or somebody those parents have gone forward into the troop. So those are some ideas of like who could be a mentor or a coach. You would want them to play a key role in your joining nights so that they're actually ready to go. Like they're the point person that talks to the new parents to go over the program. When they do small group breakouts, you're going to show them, you would show them ease of planning, the planning tools on the den meeting resources site. You would have a schedule for them once the leader is selected of den meetings. So those are some of the things that a mentor would do and who they could be.
I think a great mentor could be also, we had this happen almost every year, Audrey, when a child would leave our pack and age out, one of the former den leaders might ask, hey, if there's ever anything I can do to help, just let me know. Boom.
Exactly.
There's a mentor right there. They've been through it, and there are lots of advantages to having a mentor who's not also the Cub Master, right? Having a mentor who can serve as the go-between, who is not already busy with maybe more than 1 hour a week, Audrey, of work to do. But the process of being a mentor, tell me about what that looks like. Is it same across all the dens? I'm just guessing lion dens are different than arrow of light dens, right?
Right. So I see two big differences, potential differences, but I just wanted to let you know the National Cub Scouting Committee is also working to deepen this topic and develop more resources. So this is like the first cut to get you going this fall. You just got to get out there, but look forward to a little more developed and more tools coming as the year progresses, so that next fall is even richer. So, but this is going to get you going. You're going to get out there and have just the right tools. So yes, if you're the tigers and lions, that's a different model. They're your brand newest families. Like they don't know anything and they're just getting started. They're coming with an adult partner. You don't know the parents. So it's really critical that you have outside help during those first few meetings, because there is nobody to take over that. We recommend also showing the parents during your parent meeting, which, remember, in the other model I talked about, is a separate event from your like exciting join night. So at the parent meeting, you've got and we've got Cub Chats on that in the archives. In the Cub Chats, you've got where they go back and the parents meet together while the maybe troop members are doing games with the youth, and so you've got adult supervision, of course, there too. But so you're talking to them. So in that parent meeting, I would show them a QR code so that the parents right off the bat see how easy it is to access the Deming resources. And in the Tiger and Lions, it's a rotational thing where the parents, or I keep saying parents, but it's technically adult partner, and where they can help because it is more of a shared model. So I would have them. This was an idea we got off of the Cub Scout Volunteers group from Dave Puke. I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, but anyway, I thought it was a great idea. They had the QR codes right there, and then it says, "Feel free to pick one to lead." So right off the bat, somebody, if they're a specialist in sky's the limit, like astronomy and that kind of thing, and then they could choose that right away. And so this would be a nice tool to have to show the parents to choose as you're doing it. Then what you do is you observe those parents, those first few ones to sign up, and then the first few ones that at lead, and probably those might be somebody that you can look at as a leader. Of course, you have to look at your, like I said, the selection guidelines of what would make a good leader, and then you're going to have to have them do what youth protection training, register as a leader, and then do the online required training. So those things don't change, but the mentoring process is after you've got all that, then how do you help them along that? So this is one way you could look at it for paths for, like, say, lions and tigers, and I thought this was a really good idea.
I just want to point out real quick, we got some folks in the comments talking about the dens that they used to lead, and they're doing it with emojis, which I really appreciate. I think some of them are also talking about Wood Badge, which Audrey mentioned earlier. In case you mentioned it, they're talking about the Wood Badge patrols, things like that. Brian says he's found out that former den leaders pretty much always stay on one more year to help newer leaders in his pack. That's great, Brian. I think that a lot of former den leaders are willing to do that because it's not a full-time job, quite frankly. It's not quite like it was before. Mentoring a new leader is a great way for them to help out. Well,
absolutely.
Still kind of sliding out the door, right? Yeah, which we don't blame them.
Right, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but it's a short time frame, and
right.
And that is key. So you can still help and be a critical help to set up the pack for success.
Yes.
To help retain families is just a short time. And yet, I don't know if you can see in the frame, but I've got my bear's up there. So, hey, just saying.
Maybe seeing as how it is a short time frame, it's not unreasonable to think that maybe some folks might come back and do it every September and October, right? Just make it a part of their annual calendar, come back and help out for a couple of months.
Oh, that would be fantastic. If your pack could set that model up, that is ideal.
How cool would that be? Well, I'm just going to point out one more thing real quick. Ryan's an Eagle Scout class of 2007. He has a son in kindergarten. He's looking out to helping. A lot of folks are chiming in about reaching out to his local pack. Yeah, Brian, first of all, so glad to have you back in the fold as an Eagle Scout. You are exactly the kind of parent and leader that we need. Thank you so much for doing that. You reach out to your local, assuming you've already found a pack. If not, beascout.org. Enter your zip code, find yourself a pack. Somebody else pointed in the comments, no one's ever turned away a volunteer. I think that's true. I don't think anybody's ever
find something for you to do, for sure.
We're good. They don't need you, Ryan. We're good. No, we need you, Ryan. Yes. So reach out to your local council, reach out to your pack. A lot of positions available. Brian's mentioned a lot of them. Justin mentioned a lot of them. Very, very cool. Ramya says that they're excited about Rob being a Cub Master again. That's great. Congratulations, Rob. I'm excited too. Okay, but real quick, we're talking about. Sorry, Audrey, we got off topic there. We're talking about mentoring and that schedule. You say
right. So we talked about the younger dens, right? The two youngest, the lions and tigers. So the older dens, which would be your third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, your bears, webelos, and arrow of lights, where you really need a succession plan. Because technically, often those leaders are already experienced, and so that would be something that your committee would work on for succession planning. And there's the Cub Chat Lives on that are on 4/9 and their archives. Yes, if you just look it up on April 9th of 24 and 10/6 of 23. 10/6 really talks about onboarding. Say you have an older leader that moved, right? So then now you do need to onboard it. But technically, usually you're using parents who have at least been familiar with the program. So you're doing much more of a straightforward onboarding. And then you would, on the 4/9 is also some great ideas for checking out Cub Chat Lives that have some definitely more meat on that actual process of bringing them in. I'm talking about the coaching process and mentoring process right now. And then the second slide we have is on selecting those leaders. So there's a book on that. It's not really, it's a few page handout, but it has how to onboard the leaders for pretty much existing dens that are already in process. And you should have a succession plan, and that should really have been done, in the spring before we get to this point, who's taking over those dens if you have a den leader move or for whatever reason you need another leader. But the younger ones, it's brand new and you've just got to start from somewhere. So there's that. Now, once you have your leader, what are you going to do with them? So no matter what, this is what we're going to suggest. You need to mentor and coach them. And then on slide 3, you have a schedule. That is a proposed schedule. So the first 30 days are critical for helping them. And the suggestion is to have a mentor meeting, which is like an outside meeting with just them to work through some things. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Then they have 3 den meetings and a pack meeting. So what their role is and how to help them through those things. And then you have another 30 days where you have a second meeting. You walk them through the next 3 den meetings and another pack meeting. The first 30 days, the coach or mentor co-leads the meetings. And if you're familiar with some of that leadership training we were just talking about, and the scouts get it also, is in Scouts PSA and older, is the EDGE method. So you educate, you demonstrate, you guide them, and then you enable them to do something. Well, this is kind of what you're doing right here. The first 30 days, you're just letting them know in that meeting what's going to happen and what needs to happen. And then you guide them through it. You walk through it together, and you demonstrate how it's done. You demonstrate it, and then you guide them through it, and then you enable them, and then you're going to give them feedback on how they did. So the first 30 days, the mentor would co-lead the meetings. It provide the structure, like the calendar, and establish the routines with the den leader so they understand the structure of the meeting and so on. You're literally walking them through how to be a den leader, modeling it, and having them help. You're co-leading. The next 30 days, the mentor observes, provides feedback, lets the den leader lead, and steps in only if necessary to help. So you're guiding them through this, and then you're going to be able to set them free like little birds, or the trained driver, and you don't have a car crash. So this is great. The mentor meeting is this could be in person or in virtual, and I highly recommend in person if you can. It's just a better dialogue, but if not possible, virtual is possible. So you want to take them through the den meeting resources site. That is critical. And like I said, those QR codes we saw with the younger ones, that's again, just walk them through where to find it, how to bookmark it, where the activities are. I'm still seeing a ton of people who don't know that there are things already done for them after the requirement. The requirements listed, but then there's 3 samples of really fun things to do with all the supplies listed, all the directions listed, the times listed, everything. So they still don't understand that yet. So that's critical to walk them through that site, because that is going to be their key resource. Explain and show them how to communicate with parents. Because remember what I said, the reason that people leave is poor leadership, and lack of communication is like the key on that one. I never heard anything back from them. Our family never got a calendar. We didn't know where to be or what to do. So communication is so key. And training and planning. So this is walking you through literally the things to prevent you from being a poor leader so that you have a great time, you feel prepared, and your families want to stay. So part of that communication is a calendar, right? Actually plug in the den meetings in their calendar of what they're going to do and when they need to do it. Show them, the emails for the people. Show them what group chat your unit uses. This could be very different based on your pack and how they handle communication. Go through Scoutbook Plus, how that works now, and how to enter achievements or adventure completions, and the scouting app, because that's also a communication tool that the parents use. So walk them through all those things. You also want to review the activity key elements for choosing an adventure. And that's what I was talking about when you look at the requirements. And then there's 3 things, often 3, sometimes it's 1, but 3 things listed. And then it has a time icon. It has a location icon. It has an activity icon. And it has a amount of supplies icon, essentially. So walk them through that so they understand what that means, so that when they're looking at their calendar and they're super busy, they want to check all once, or on that. Or if they've got more time, they can go up to the 3s and 4s. So what does that mean? Show them what that means. Walk through Scoutbook Plus navigation. It's new, and folks are still getting to use that right now. And the scouting app navigation. So those are some key things to go over in that initial meeting, to prepare them for success.
That is awesome. I want to point out, sometimes our viewers do this thing that I love, where they have little conversations amongst themselves in the chat. There's a conversation going on right now about how many den meetings they do per month. I think that's great. You guys keep that conversation going. A lot of positive feedback and support for each other. Love to see that in the Cub Chat live chat. Audrey, you sent us a document that I think we're ready to talk about now, and the Den Leader feedback form. Is it time to talk about that?
Yes, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah,
later. Did I jump the gun?
No, that's exactly where we're at.
Okay,
I thought you were going to go off on something else. So yes, there is variation. This suggests 3 meetings. The idea is you want to get them through several. Right. So if your pack only meets once or twice in a den meeting, then maybe you're in a 3-month mentorship type situation versus a 2-month situation. You want to get them through a certain number where it feels comfortable for them, right? And they've gone through each of those planning phases. That can vary by pack. Yes. This is a suggested schedule, but if your pack varies greatly, tailor it to yours. But you want to set them up for success. Probably, I would say, at the least the first 2 months. It might be the first 3 months. So there's that. Okay, so when you have those meetings, this is a sample form that was created by one of our team members, and this is just something for the records for you as a mentor. And you might have more than one, I don't know, but just to keep in mind what you're working on, and so you can remember for the next time things that you maybe need to help train them on, or show them where the resource is, or things like that. So it's just basic information at the beginning, but then preparing and organizing. So when they went into their agenda, did they use the resources site? Were they well prepared? Those kinds of things. Were the materials ready? Did meeting started and ended on time? So, if it didn't, was there some management systems you can help them with? So these are, basic things that should be running well, because when parents see that their children are learning and then it's running well and things they want to stay. They want to stay because it's a well-run program and their children are getting the most they can out of it. Was there an opening ceremony? And if it was, did it include the Scout Oath and Law? Did the Scouts participate in the opening ceremony, or was it all adult run? I would say that wasn't a good thing if it's all adult run. You're going to have to, guide them how to do one for the youth, but really the youth should be doing these things. And then any comments? At the adventure or the activity, did they just to walk them through that on the Den Meeting Resources site on scouting.org, Cub Scouts, and then there's adventures. It has a snapshot or an overview of the adventure, and that's like the outcome. This is what should be you should have done by the time you've completed this activity. This is what they should have learned. And if they haven't, then maybe there's something missing. Did you go through the key elements? Did they understand those? Did they explain the importance of the buddy system? So we've got some management in here too. How do you, the buddy system and how that works? Did you teach them, this is a sample for pause on the path. So this is going to be specific to the den meeting that they did. So did they learn about animals and plants? Did they learn about map reading? Did they conduct an engaging hike? Did they were the scouts participating and engaged? So just some feedback and some comments and some kind of things to look for as you're doing this particular adventure. And then safety should be in there too, which is kind of the snapshot right at the beginning. Did they incorporate the safety and safe practices that they needed to, which was highlighted right at the top of that adventure? So, and that is safety. Yes, on page 2. I jumped ahead on that one. I'm sorry. Can we slip back? I just have to keep safety top of mind. So that's why I move forward. Den leader interaction. Did they communicate well? Was there enthusiasm and energy? Clear instructions. Okay, page 2. There we go. And behavior management. Is there anything you can do? I mean, this is something I think all of us can use tips on, right? On how to positively enforce things and not give attention to negative things and that sort of thing. Did they work as a team? At safety? And were the guidelines and the buddy system followed? And then was there a closing ceremony? And then an overview, like what were the strengths and things? So this can help focus that meeting. Do you have to use this form? No. But I think it's a good idea to kind of tick in your mind of the things that you're observing during those den meetings where you are observing to coach and mentor them, to help them to become better, not to criticize or any kind of blame. This is to help somebody to become the best leader they can in a very short time, so that they have a good experience, because we want our scouts to have a good experience. We want that to be fun, simple, and easy, and it needs to be fun, simple, and easy for the den leader as well. And if they have a good experience and other people go, "Ooh, doesn't look like that was that hard. Maybe I can help out more as well," as parents are observing this. So those are some tips.
Those are great. As we wind up our show here, we're talking about onboarding new leaders, and the reason why we did this topic, probably worth repeating, Audrey, that for some folks that's been an issue. They when people they drop out because they don't feel like they're getting support, right? No one's returning their phone calls, things like that. They're sitting there, they want to help. They may have even signed up and paid their dues, and then they don't get the support that they feel like they need. That's why we're doing this topic. Audrey, if you have time for one more question, I would love to get your opinion on this. The Den Leader feedback form is a great idea, and it's pretty easy for folks, to fill a feedback form up when you do something online or something like that. But I'm curious, Audrey, maybe for a new Den Leader who's reading a feedback form, how do you take that criticism? Should we call it criticism? I mean, how do you take that? You don't want to take it personally, right? But yeah, so if you're a den leader and you get a feedback form and somebody says, "Well, the kids were a little bit crazy," Audrey, your thoughts on how a den leader can handle that?
For the first thing, I wouldn't just give them a den leader form. This is for the mentor as a tool to discuss with them, to have a warm and helpful conversation about.
So the den leader doesn't necessarily see the form. The form is a reference to use for the mentor. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's probably up to the mentor.
Okay, gotcha.
They could see the form for sure, but I just wouldn't go email it to them. That's very cold and impersonal, and that doesn't help them to learn. So these things are supposed to show you areas that you could improve. So how can we improve them? Let's talk about it. What could we do? I mean, a really good mentor, which is like some of that advanced training that we've talked about, a good mentor helps get them to tell you what it is that they could have done different. If you ask questions in a certain way, you get them to tell you what it is that could be improved. And that's a much better outcome. And then it's something they own, that it's something that they've come up with, and you have a much better chance of that they're actually going to do it. So there's, as I said, this is a first run I mean, I could probably do a whole day workshop on this. This is a 30-minute segment on giving you a tool for now, like do it. Are there definitely a full leadership ways of how to handle this? Absolutely. So I personally would not just hand them the form. I would, in that meeting, and as the first slide suggested with the schedule, I would talk to them about these different things. And maybe you're not going to talk to them about everything because they did fine. I mean, really, they did fine. Was it perfect? No, but they did fine. They got it done. It was okay. So what are the key points that we really need to focus on and add some skills to, or give them a resource to, or just discuss, ways, well, how could we do this better? And what do you think happened here? What do you think happened here in this area? And, did they even see it as an issue? So there are ways to bring it up in a kind and respectful manner that will help them. The whole point is to help them to have success, to have fun, because if they know they're struggling and if they don't feel supported and like this is fun, they may leave. Not just the other families, they may leave, and then you have a bigger problem.
And that's no fun.
Definitely cautions around kindness, helpfulness, modeling it yourself, saying those disclaimers like, I know everybody's got, we all have things that we have to work on, and here's some tips and things. And I had struggled too when I was young, younger leader. So what did I learn? Those kinds of phrases are much easier to take. Or like I said before, if you can ask questions around it so that they see the issue and they see the area that we need to work on and can work through it.
Awesome. Great answer. I may have been the only person on this call who thought about that, but Audrey, I appreciate you taking the time to address that. Behind the scenes, Brian has posted a link to that form if anybody's interested in downloading it. Audrey, you said that you guys are kind of in the process of working on this material and other materials like it that will be available shortly. Is that safe to say?
I'm not going to say shortly, but they will be available.
They will be available. Yes, understand.
They're in our work lineup for this year. That we would like to. That we know this is an area that we can help provide resources in, and that's the job of the National Cub Scouting Committee, is to provide program and resources around the program. So we had to get the big thing done, which was getting the new program updates, and so now we're working on the next step, is how we support you as you do that. And so, the things are work. This is a first cut. This is a tool you can use today. It'll get it done. But we're going to be looking at some more resources that are maybe more polished, maybe more Cub Chats on it, that kind of thing.
Yes, love it. This has been a very interesting chat, Audrey. Thanks for joining us. I think we should close with a great comment from Kim. Kim says, we always encourage and thank our den leaders and parents all the time during our den meetings.
Absolutely.
As assistant Cub Master, I check on each of our dens to make sure things are moving along. If they need anything or any help, boy, we could probably do a whole show on recognizing.
I mean, I joined because I thought it would be fun to do alongside my son. And I found fun with some other leaders, and then I found fun in some of the advanced training, and then I found fun. So basically, if I don't find fun in the next thing, I'm not volunteering for it, because that's part of the deal. So you need to make it fun and simple and easy. Show them how simple and easy it is to be a den leader, and how much fun it can be, and how well supported they are.
And I will say, losing a den leader a few months into the process, there's nothing fun, simple, and easy about that. That is
that's not fun.
You want to make sure, you want to make sure that doesn't happen, and it won't happen as long as the program is being executed as it is supposed to.
And I'm not going to say people don't move and things like that don't happen, but to your best of your ability, you're setting up your program for success.
Yes. Brian is closed with a request. Sing a song, Aaron. Nobody wants to hear that, Brian. I'm sorry. Nobody wants to hear that.
Everybody has different talents, and there somewhere in those group of parents, somebody is a good singer, so we can find them.
And maybe somebody on this call is a good singer, but it's not me. But thank you all for watching. Maybe it's Audrey. I don't know.
No, it's definitely not me. I'm good at finding those people.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Audrey, for your time today. Appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. This has been a great show. Brian just put the archive link up there. Throw that up one more time, Brian, if you don't mind. Brian's done a really good job of organizing those archives. Yeah. Audrey, when you mentioned the date, it's easy to scroll down by date and find the one you want to listen to. You can also listen to all these shows as podcasts now through your favorite podcast app. So do that if you need to. Thank you all for all the good comments. Brian, that's enough out of you. Appreciate it. And Audrey, we'll see you next time. Everybody, enjoy the weekend.
Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure to catch next week's episode. Same time, same place. And let us know how we're doing at go.scoutingmagazine.org/ratecubchat. We love feedback and ideas for new episodes. And you can visit blog.scoutingmagazine.org/cubchatlive for all our past video episodes. You can see us live. Except it's recorded, but it was live. Okay, see you next week.